Good Friday evening, Southeast Texas continuing under the weather impact alert. We've had that since Monday, and it looks like this is going to come to fruition coming up Sunday morning across Southeast Texas. So first off, pretty quiet out there right now, a little bit of drizzle. No issues tonight, just getting a little colder. This view courtesy of Mid-County Plumbing, part of the Roofing 911 Skycam network. So here's your weather headlines. Tomorrow, late morning, we expect a line of showers, maybe a few thunderstorms, no severe weather expected, and then falling temperatures as the winds pick up thanks to that Arctic air mass or Arctic cold front pushing through the area. After about midnight, 1, 2, we ought to start seeing freezing rain developing up in the lakes area. I don't think it'll get here until about 4 or 5, maybe 6 in the triangle, and it'll be moving pretty quickly through the area. So looks like the best icing will be up towards the lakes area along Highway 190. That's where we're most concerned about the potential for power outages and things of that nature. Right now in the triangle, I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. It looks like along I-10, maybe about 1/10 of an inch of ice. I think TxDOT will do a fine job of keeping the roadways open. So overpasses, things like that, you'll have to watch. But it's probably not a good idea to get out on Sunday morning. Regardless, that freezing rain will be out of here very quickly on Sunday afternoon, around noon, 1, 2 o'clock. And then it's all about how cold are we going to get on Monday and Tuesday. We're likely to see 2 long duration hard freezes across Southeast Texas. May not be a bad idea to check out your antifreeze levels in your vehicles, in addition to being careful with people, pets, plants, and pipes, because you'll need to be dripping or turn off the water. Plants, obviously, we've talked about that. You bring them in or cover them. People, be careful with space heaters and heating your home. Make sure that you're very careful with that. And pets, bring them in and make sure that they have warm bedding. Otherwise, that's your weather headline. So we will continue with our weather impact alert for freezing rain, mainly the lakes area, north of the triangle, but can't rule out a little bit here in the triangle. And then very cold weather coming up Monday and Tuesday mornings. This will be the coldest since last January. Remember that with all the snow? This is not going to be snow. This is going to be freezing rain this time. Why is that occurring? Warm air above the surface. Just above about 1,400 and 1,500 feet. It's above freezing and will remain above freezing. It won't be freezing all the way down from the clouds. That's why this is going to be freezing rain. Very cold layer along the ground will allow us to see the rain freeze on contact to items on the ground. So Sunday morning is when we expect the freezing rain across Southeast Texas. Again, that 1/3 of an inch is up towards the lakes area. Maybe about 1/10 of an inch along the I-10 corridor. Very little, if any, in Mid-County back over towards Port Arthur. And again, this could change, but that's the way it looks right now. And that, again, is why we're looking at that ice storm warning for Hardin, Tyler, Jasper, and Newton counties. A winter weather advisory, northern Jefferson and Orange counties. You do not have any warnings or watches across Mid-County, Port Arthur, or towards Sabine Pass, because we don't think there's going to be too much there. Otherwise, here's the Euro model. It's still keeping everything up towards the lakes area like we've been talking about. Very little here in the triangle. Now, the graph model, which is one of the models associated with our system, shows a little bit further south drift. Still 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch of ice up towards the lakes area. That could produce some power outages. A little further south drift. Notice this is not as high a resolution model. The NAM still showing about 1/3 of an inch of ice up towards the lakes area. That is where we think the best icing is occurring, and little, if anything, along I-10. Then here's the GFS, which is the lowest resolution, and it continues to show about 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch up towards Highway 190 between Woodville, Jasper, Newton, back over towards Burkeville, with very little Port Arthur, Mid-County, maybe 1/10 of an inch along the I-10 corridor. So that is 4 different models showing about the same thing, roughly. The best chances of ice up in the lakes area. And that is between Kirbyville, Newton, Jasper, Burkeville, Coleman Hill, Woodville. That's where you'll see the best icing. We think, generally speaking, 1/3 to 1/2, or I should say 1/4 of an inch up that way. That's enough to produce power outages. Regardless, travel is discouraged coming up on Sunday morning. Hopefully it's not more than 1/3 of an inch of ice. Otherwise, from about Lumberton to just south of Curryville, including Kuntz and Buna, we'll go with as much as 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation. Could be some spotty isolated power outages. And along I-10, very little, 1/10 of an inch at most. And I think that's going to present very little problems as far as any travel across southeast Texas, at least here in the Triangle. Very little, if any, into Port Arthur and Mid-County. So again, it's mainly north of the Triangle from, say, Lumberton, Buna, Kuntz, up over towards Burkeville, Jasper, Newton, and Woodville. You guys are going to be seeing probably the worst of this wintry weather across southeast Texas, and that could produce some isolated to scattered power outages up that way. Of course, travel is very highly discouraged coming up on Sunday morning. So as we were talking about, anywhere about 1/4 inch and up, you start getting into power outages for the most part. And again, we hope we don't get any more than that up towards that way. Very little issues except for some isolated power outages up to 1/4 inch, and maybe some slippery roads unless they're treated. And I think the highway department is going to treat everything as far as I-10 on overpasses and bridges. So I think we're going to be fine here in the Triangle. Otherwise, Sunday, this is a cold weather advisory. We will likely see temperatures staying in the low to mid 30s coming up on Sunday morning across southeast Texas. Fast forward into Monday morning. This is when it starts getting cold. Now, these are wind chills. Winds will be gusting at times up to 20, maybe 25 miles an hour. And when you're talking about temperatures into the upper teens and lower 20s, yeah, I think this may be actually a little bit warm. I think it could be a little bit colder than what you see here if we get down to those lows into the upper teens and lower 20s. And then we have an extreme cold weather watch. All that means is that we'll likely see low temperatures anywhere between 12 to 14 degrees up in the lakes area, and 17 to 20, maybe 22 in Port Arthur. So again, as I said, we've not been this cold since January of last year. Remember all the snow? Again, this is not going to be snow this time. This is going to be a freezing rain, icy mess across portions of our area. So again, Monday and Tuesday mornings, that's the ones that will present pipe-busting weather across southeast Texas, so you need to take that very seriously. Otherwise, pretty quiet out there right now, middle to upper 50s to around 60, and that's all liquid precipitation the other side of Huntsville. Otherwise, there it is, the Arctic cold front just coming into Dallas, Waco, back up to just north of Junction. Look at Lubbock at 19, 7 degrees right now into Amarillo, 22 degrees actual temperatures up towards Oklahoma City and Wichita Falls at 26, Dallas at 36 right now. Very mild, even warm down in South Texas. And then factor in the wind, and it is minus 10 degree wind chills currently into Amarillo, just above in Childress and Lubbock, and Oklahoma City. Feels like 20 into Abilene, 26 into Dallas. Now, we're not going to see that, but we will see wind chills likely to get into the teens as we head on into Monday morning across southeast Texas, as that cold Arctic air mass continues to spill on towards the south and east. Across the state, there you go, the icy mix starting to develop to the west of Dallas and Fort Worth, and back over towards Weatherford, just north of San Angelo, back up over in towards Wichita Falls, spreading up towards Oklahoma City. And this is a large system, and it will encompass quite a bit of ice across East Texas, northern Louisiana. That will go and shoot on off over towards Tennessee, back over towards North Carolina before this all ends early next week. Otherwise, look at the sheer extent of the winter storm warnings across the Lone Star State. So from Oklahoma City, Dallas, Austin, Waco, back over towards San Antonio, all under a winter storm warning, extending over towards Houston, back over towards Ozona, Midland, Odessa, Lubbock, Amarillo, all under a winter storm warning at this time. Then you have the freezing rain or ice storm warning across deep East Texas, the lakes area, and back over to northern Louisiana, extending over towards Mississippi, and that will continue all the way over towards North Carolina over the coming days. So this is, again, a large system, and this will infect many, many people without a doubt. So we've taken an extended look at Futurecast. Tonight we expect light drizzle 10 to 20% coverage, no big deal. Temperatures will likely drop. This may be a little cold, but low to mid 40s by the time you wake up in the morning, and the lower 50s in the triangle. This 6 a.m. See your clock? 6 a.m. Saturday morning. This will be the warmest weather of the day tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. because then we get the rain associated with the front, and then temperatures just fall for the rest of the day. So by late in the day, just above freezing in the lakes, close to 40 here in the triangle. May get a little bit of a break. Then as we head towards midnight tomorrow night, we'll start to see the freezing rain starting to develop up in the lakes area first. This may be a little bit fast, and then it starts spreading on towards the south with a second round of wintry mix moving on into the area. There's 7:30 or thereabouts Sunday morning, and it's an icy mix of freezing rain. I think it's going to be colder than that up in the lakes area and also in the triangle. I think these temperatures are a little too warm. Regardless, a little bit of ice here in the triangle, mainly up in the lakes area from Lumberton, Silsbee, up to the north is where we will likely see the best ice accumulations across southeast Texas. By noontime Sunday, it should be out of here the way it looks right now. On the Gulf, small craft advisory in effect for slightly, or I should say choppy seas around 2 to 4 feet and an easterly wind at 15 to 20 knots. Our forecast tonight, cloudy, turning cold, especially up in the lakes area, as you'll likely see temperatures dropping into the low to mid 40s up that way, and a breezy easterly wind. Here in the triangle, looking at lows into the lower 50s. Then as we head towards tomorrow, looks like late morning we'll see that 90 to 100% coverage of rain and a few thunderstorms move through, and then temperatures will fall. So as I said, your highs actually tomorrow will be in the morning. There's your highs, because in the afternoon by 5, 6, or 7 o'clock in the evening or afternoon late, you'll be in the mid, just above freezing in mid 30s in the lakes area to around 40 in the triangle. So falling temperatures all day long tomorrow, and I think we'll get a break tomorrow afternoon before the second round begins to move on in, and that's where we'll start to see the potential for an icy mix, freezing rain coming up on Sunday morning, where that 1/10 of an inch along I-10 to as much as 1/3 of an inch up towards the lakes area actually materializes Sunday morning. But again, this is not going to be an all day. It's not going to be a long duration event. It's about 6 hours here in the triangle, and maybe as much as 8, maybe 9 hours up in the lakes area. And by noontime on Sunday, it'll be out of here. Keep abreast of the weather because these numbers could change a little bit. But right now, it's all about cold, cold temperatures after that ends on Sunday afternoon. Hopefully, we can get above freezing in the lakes area, because if you don't, then you're going to be freezing starting Sunday morning, and that could last all the way until Monday afternoon. It could be greater than 24 hours of freezing low temperatures up in the lakes area. I think we may just get above freezing here in the triangle as that freezing rain moves through, and then out of here by noontime. Monday morning, again, those wind chills. Now, these are the actual numbers in Beaumont. So 19 in Beaumont, we're probably talking about 16 up in the lakes area Monday morning, with wind chills in the low to mid teens. Lots of sun, but that's not going to matter. Tuesday, we're going 17. See that? 17 in Beaumont Tuesday morning. 12 or 13 in the lakes area. Clouds come in as a disturbance pushes through, and still freezing low temperatures every morning. Let's see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings as high temperatures will rebound into the 50s, and then we'll start with another chance of showers in the forecast coming up at next Friday. So again, it's all about tomorrow afternoon. We start seeing those